Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, October 2nd, 2017, and a gorgeous day in Oregon, Wisconsin. This is a meeting of the Oregon Village Board, which I will call to order and ask for roll call, please.
Staten.
Here.
Bretthauer. Carpenter.
Here.
Bollig.
Here.
Grenier. Jacobson.
Here.
We'll just call on you when Boudreaux comes.
Here.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. We'll then go to item 3, which is public appearance. It's from the Plan Commission meeting, so I turn that over to Trustee Carpenter. Jeannie?
Sure. So this is from the September 14th Planning Commission meeting. We had a discussion, well, this is for tonight. We have a discussion of possible action regarding approval of the amended general development plan and the specific implementation plan submitted by Ben Cowan, manager of Oregon Ice Arena, Inc., for exterior recreational improvements and uses, including outdoor volleyball courts, a sports diamond, fencing, and outdoor entertainment. Improvements will be made to the property at 100 North Perry Parkway in the Village of Oregon. And this was the recommended motion from the Planning Commission. Meyer moved, seconded by Bino, to recommend to the Village Board the approval of the GDP and the SIP, including the site plan submitted by Ben Cowan, conditioned upon the following. First, he needed to make the revisions to the GDP and SIP that was requested from the village attorney, and that was in an email sent to him on September 14th. He needed to meet the village planner's recommendations from his memos dated September 7th and September 8th. He needed to comply with the zoning violations that Public Works Jeff Rao's memo pointed out, that's dated July 6th, excluding the immediate removal of the metal recycling dumpster. And the final condition was that the limousines must be removed from the premises by November 1st, and that motion carried 7-0. So I'll make this motion so we can get it on the floor for discussion. So I would make a motion that we suspend the rules and have the first and second reading at tonight's meeting.
I'll second that for discussion.
Thank you.
Do we need to do the second motion right away, or can we start talking about it?
Are they planning on being here?
Matt?
No, or
Ben.
Ben? Yeah, I
thought so. Did you want to hold us until?
Well, if we vote to not suspend the rules, then it goes to the next meeting either way, right?
That's correct.
So that's a procedural thing.
That's
to do.
correct.
Okay.
Oh, so Matt would show up here.
I do have a question for clarification, since we have a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
So looking at 3A, 2A.
Where are you at, Jeff? On the ordinance?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's attachment 3A under the ordinance number 2, subsection A.
There's a correction in that paragraph, Jeff. The metal recycling dumpster is not supposed to be in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my.
Oh, it was
I was looking for clarification.
Yeah.
I can tell you that the Planning Commission has met with Ben several times over the summer. He's brought different proposals forward, and the proposal that you have in front of you tonight is the one that the Planning Commission was comfortable with and voted to approve, and that was for the outdoor the outdoor volleyball and the smaller baseball field is known as a wiffle ball. We're not super comfortable with his original proposal to have music festivals, and he stated that if he did want to do that, that he would come before the village board for a special permit. So at this time, it's just these outdoor sporting facilities, and he has to meet all of these revisions as I outlined. Any update on the limousine removal there, Jeff?
Well, no, I mean, it was kind of how I was out there last time. I did not go out there this weekend. So, but
there's one left.
Oh, there's one left.
Yeah, one left.
Okay.
That's this afternoon, about an hour and a half.
Great.
Okay.
Fantastic. I know he said there was going to be able to get rid of two fairly easily, and so the third one we just had to condition the November 1st, I believe.
Yeah. So do we want to wait and discuss this when representatives are here?
I would.
Okay.
I think that'd be a great idea. I've got some concerns about this. I won't go into it right now because they're not here. But I think before I say any more, I just would agree that it would not be a good idea to proceed with this.
So should I withdraw my motion, or should we table it, or what do you want to do? Matt doesn't like it when we withdraw stuff.
Yeah, I would just make a motion to table it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we table this issue until the applicant appears.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Thanks, Jeannie. Go to item 3B, discussion of status of drive aisle option behind South Main Street businesses. And it notes that agendas were sent to South Main Street businesses, and some are here. We appreciate that. And possible board action. Jeff?
Well, we were been approached by some of the building owners about a possible, really desiring to have that north-south connection that we've talked about on a couple occasions between kind of the back parking lot there behind the businesses and Jefferson Crossing, north to like the Ziggy's and the clinic. Early on in the planning process, I believe the clinic had been approached as a possible opportunity for taking that through, and at the time the clinic said they were not interested in moving forward with that. Some of the downtown landowners said, well, there might be an option to go through the rear of the Ziggy's parking lot there, and they offered that as a possible option. So we actually retained Quam Engineering to do just kind of a site plan layout and what we call as an auto turn analysis, and that's a kind of a computer-aided design graphic program that allows you to run a certain large vehicle along a certain route, and it can kind of give you an idea of how that truck would be able to service it. It shows not only the wheel paths but also the swing paths of the trailer and everything else. And so we had them prepare that. You can see that in the exhibit. You'll see kind of an option that with the existing parking lot that kind of had to come back through Ziggy's there and then would come out on North Main. A couple problems with this deal with the fact that there's an existing power pole back there right on the corner. I actually have the arrow in the wrong location. It's actually kind of right just at the back of the Peaceful Heart site there. Peaceful Heart, kind of there's an alleyway back there. And we had a discussion with the utility companies last week. Since we're undergrounding a lot of things back there, including the power, the TV, and the cable, that area back there is going to have a transformer. It's going to have what they call a termination box. It's going to have a meter cabinet. It'll have a cabinet for the cable, and it'll have a cabinet for phone or Verizon or Frontier, excuse me. So there's already quite a bit of stuff back there, and then we have to be able to get all that electrical over to the back of the buildings. So that area is already kind of busy, and we'll be have quite a bit of equipment back there. And just quite honestly, I just don't think it's a smooth path through there, through that area. We've always felt that kind of the best alternative will be, we think sometime in the future, if and when UW redevelops that lot or sells that lot and there's a redevelopment project with that there will be the opportunity to maintain this or to create this north-south corridor through there. I think it's important. It'll help for parking eventually, but I just did not feel, and you'll see in my memo, I just did not feel that this was the right orientation and time for that kind of a route through there.
Questions for Jeff?
I have a question. Jeff, if we don't do this, is there ample room back there for, there's some pretty large trucks service that area?
Yeah,
and the businesses on South Main Street, is there room for them to navigate and get in and get out?
Yeah, actually, the auto turn analysis, back when the project was designed, this project was actually designed by Quam.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. for the Jefferson Crossing project, and they did run the auto turn analysis at that time for the size of trucks that were servicing those areas back there.
How big a truck is that? Do you remember?
It's not a full semi.
It's not a full semi. It was kind of like the Cisco trucks that you see,
Okay.
and the beer trucks,
Okay.
those long beer trucks that come in, and but not a full, was it 53-foot trailer semi? That's
Okay. All right, thanks, Jeff. I see a couple of the business owners on South Main, and I'm just wondering how they feel about that. John, and I see the Thiels there too.
Welcome, John.
Thanks. John Dietz, I own 123 South Main Street, Peaceful Heart. We'd like to see something done because we've gone through this. A lot's been done twice already. We'd hate to see it be done another time in the future, and we aren't sure when the clinic's really going to even be willing, if ever, to do something with us. So that could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be next year. We don't really know. I'm not sure if this layout is the best layout, and I think the Thiels and I have talked about in the past going straight along the back instead and across, so you don't have this curvy kind of thing going on. It might have to jog just slightly, but going right through our property and into their property instead. And we've expressed in the past that we're willing to work with the village to do something like that, because I think it would benefit everybody. I think semis coming into here, if they could come in and just go into the back of the buildings and then go out, they're going to be a lot better, or vice versa, down South Main and come in and go out one way instead of trying to make that big turn. Because as soon as you get a semi in there, you don't have much room for a car to get by. And once you get a semi parked in there or making a turn, nobody's going to get by. So people going in and out of the apartment complex, people trying to get to businesses, customers parking, all that handicap on the end, it's going to be very difficult to navigate in and out of those spots when there's semis back there. Now that's a limited period of time during the day. I mean, it isn't like all day long. It's typically more mornings that we see trucks back there, and the lot's not quite as busy at that time of day. But I think there's some things we could do to maybe make this happen now. And if the UW ever decides to cooperate with us and do something, or they want to move out, we look at it again then. But maybe that's 10 years from now, and we have something that works for us in the meantime. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Okay. So if I understand you, John, what you're saying is it's workable until we can come up with a better plan.
Yeah, we'd like to see something where, because now we're getting rid of one entrance already to
Right.
make that traffic flow better, which is a good idea. Having those two turns is not great. I mean, I
Okay.
agree totally. But then only having one way in and one way out, we're really limiting that now. And when you get traffic going in and out, or 5 o'clock when people are coming home and we have customers coming in that are coming to the store, things like that, people going to the bar, it's going to get pretty hectic if there's not 2 ways in, or a way out, at least 2 ways out.
Right.
Kind of a thing.
Okay.
What I don't know is, looking at it flow-wise, it would be nice, people coming down South Main, if they don't find parking, to be able to make that loop and come into the back and look for parking there. Right now, people come down South Main, and they have to go down further, cut across, come back up Jefferson, either go into the village lot or try and go into the back lot, circle back around. It's not a very user-friendly parking situation from that perspective. So driving them towards where parking is would be helpful.
Oh, having that access would benefit everyone. So.
But I get there's a lot of stuff back there.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
All right.
So, John, business owners are okay with losing parking spaces back there?
Well, I think we're willing to work with losing a couple of our private parking spaces in order to make this happen. I can't speak for the other business owners aren't losing theirs, but I would hope the long-term goal is to actually get still parking down there, because we still, in my opinion, have a parking problem. It's not as bad as maybe it was at one time, but we still do.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see what happens when Jefferson Commons opens and what that does to the parking area back there as well. But
So you have a different option in mind, do I understand that right? than the path
I'm thinking
shows
it's
here?
more coming straight down the backs of the building, straight across into Ziggy's lot. If it lines up, it may have to curve. We might have to bump out from the buildings just a little bit more, put a green space or something that actually might, long-term, work better for rear building access for people. I don't know that we'll be doing that, but the bars, the restaurants, they like having that rear entrance area, and having a little bit more buffer with a green space or some plantings or some kind of an area would actually make that probably a nicer look as well. It would soften the backs of those buildings. And I think you could get a pretty straight shot then down through there. So if the UW then one day wanted to sell the clinic and we could use that area, maybe just close that off at that point and make the entrance, or that loop it up there, but it just, those are my thoughts.
Okay.
So you're thinking with the path that's shown, that'd be moved to the east or the west in your plan?
Just look. Find it here.
Closer to Ziggy's or farther away from
He's talking
Ziggy's?
to the east, just behind the backs of the buildings.
Yeah, so like right at the edge of the white area on, behind the parking, like you've
Okay.
got the fishbone kind of parking across there.
Yeah.
This way, like on that aisle going straight across, like right behind our building.
That's what I thought.
Through that.
I wanted to be sure.
Would
Okay.
those green spaces and parking spots need to be moved to the west a little bit then to accommodate those trucks, or would it work the way it is?
I mean, the way it's drawn now, it's supposed to allow a truck to make that left-hand turn and get into the back of the buildings and then make a right-hand turn all the way around that end piece.
Actually, it's just the opposite. They come in and they take a right-hand turn, come around, and then they come to the buildings. So they're headed north, parked north, yeah. Is
Yeah,
the way it would lay
Oh, is it a
out.
one-way? Is
Yeah.
that the thought?
I
Okay.
mean, that was the efficient, that's why this kind of bump out area occurs all the way over here, and then
Yeah.
that gets some,
But they still need to be able to make those turns, those two
Absolutely.
ways regardless. So I mean, if you reverse the one way to the other direction, they can still do that.
right. I mean, I don't think it was going to be signed one way, but that was the intended
And I can
route.
see, yeah,
Yeah.
why.
But you're right. I mean, it could be either way. I think, as we found out in the determination, in the whole early design of this, and the parking discussions, I think there's a whole lot of stuff crammed into this area to begin with. And I mean, trust me, I would love to be able to, have an extra 10, 15, 20 feet back there to work with green space and loading zones and that type of thing. But as we found in the last 2 years, we had to create that loading zone there just to be able to get cars to keep from parking there, so
Right.
to allow the trucks to be along the right back, or right up against the back of the lot there. I think, one of the things that has been, one of the things that does complicate things, John, a little bit, and it depends on how freely you'd be willing to, work with the village and the community on, you've got this, and I've never really understood it, but you've kind of have this bump out in the back, and that's not the village property, so we really haven't been
Right.
able to work with that property. And I don't, the only way that would probably work well is if it was like a CSM and deeded to the village, so then it becomes part of the village parking lot
Right.
and maintained and such. But I would, as a lot owner, I guess I figured you would not be open for that because
You're losing property.
you're
right?
losing property and you're losing parking spaces, private parking spaces in an area that has, as everyone knows, difficult parking.
Yeah. And I think we'd want to talk through how we went
Yeah.
about it, but we're
And-
not looking to make money off of that property,
Right.
kind of thing. There's a lot of utilities in there. Frankly, if there were no utilities there, we would consider, could we expand out into that area?
Yeah.
But there's so much utility under the ground there. It's parking. That's all it's ever going to be, or driving.
Right.
It's not going to be something else.
And what we've been told by Alliant is the one, when they looked at this layout, they were, the transformer and everything, all of that then would actually almost have to shift onto the back of your property there, which I took as being kind of another reason
Yeah.
why that was not attractive. I mean, the idea.
It's not
yeah,
attractive, I agree.
Right, exactly. It's, any type of transformers are not attractive. They can be screened and that type of thing, but we don't have a lot of room for screening either. It's kind of, this is downtown hardscape type of approach here. So, that's, I mean, I still honestly feel that in a perfect world, we would be going straight through this parking lot and continuing, north-south along that area. And I'd actually, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball on this, but I've just in how much we've seen things change in the 12 years we've been here, a lot of things change, and as things develop, as Jefferson Crossing goes up, and as the demand for more services, probably through UW Health, I mean, they're obviously growing every, we always kind of figure that eventually that we'll have to find a new home somewhere. And so short term, it could be possible that they want to relocate.
And I would agree. Ideally, that would be better. You go straight across, it gives you straight lines, you have more parking below it, Ziggy's gets to keep more of their property, or the Thiels do,
Yeah,
for-
our biggest
but-
fear is locating the dumpster there, and for having to fear to have to move the dumpster location for a third time,
Yeah.
or fourth time. Nobody here, including the audience, wants to get involved in that one again.
I'm with you.
Yes, everyone's. Dan,
Yeah,
are
that's
you
the
in
last
support?
time we can say the word dumpster tonight, please.
Yes, thank you.
So Jeff-
And another
Jeff
thing-
violated the rule.
So, I guess from our perspective, I mean, for us personally, the one entrance isn't going to be that big of an issue. So I'm trying to look at it overall for the businesses, and there is in the morning when our staff come in between 9 and 10 o'clock, it is sometimes our lot's blocked. I mean, there's 2 or 3 trucks out there, you can't get in. They park in the lot, they go out at lunchtime and they move, kind of a thing. But so I'm taking the perspective of try more, how do we help the overall neighborhood or that block? It's not so much that we need that, because we really don't. And Jeff's right. Having 3 private parking spaces is actually kind of a nice luxury to have downtown. But I think it would be better to have some kind of drive-through if we can figure out how to do it.
Any questions for John right now or comments? Any other business owner who has something new to add to that discussion? Good evening, Dan.
Dan Donahue, 105 South Main Street. So I think, I was talking to Scott McWilliams about this before I headed over, and we were talking about, I think everyone has 2 main concerns here. Parking, that trucks can get in, and that all that can be done safely. So that's 3 concerns. And the one entrance in the back is what's still concerning us, in the sense of, right now the traffic flow of a truck going in, going to the right, curving around, just even if that's there and that's possible, I don't know how a truck owner coming in is going to know that when we get deliveries from people who don't. Some of the trucks are very regular, the beer trucks, some of those. Some are not. And so when we get, a 30-foot truck showing up and pulling into the lot, I think we create a lot of potential with the one entrance that trucks are going to pull in, look around, go, I don't know what to do, and stop. Then they're going to stop in front of the opening, and we've seen this happen with the current setup. They're going to just open their truck, they're going to do their business and unload everything, except with only one entrance that will now be blocking the entire lot. Cars will be backing up on Jefferson. I mean, it'll snowball. So I really appreciate what John said about being willing to work with the village on potentially going through there. But I just want to emphasize the having the 2 entrances for a truck to avoid that entrance getting blocked. That's my big concern, is that entrance gets blocked, and especially at a busy time of day when now we've got 61 units, half of them are trying to go to work if they're young professionals or something like that. They can't get out of the lot, and all of a sudden everything just sort of snowballs out of control. So anything we can do to have 2 entrances, or even one thing that occurred to me is if you flipped where the entrance is now and where the handicap spots are, so the entrances were closer to the Main Street intersection, then a truck would have a straight shot at least to pull in, get to behind the businesses, and then back out. Still not an ideal scenario. I don't know if it's a better scenario. It's just an alternative.
We talked with the developer at the time, and we had to move it as far. We actually made them move it as far away from the intersection as possible.
Did you keep safety with
then
the
you end up
intersection?
getting queuing distances back from the stoplight. So that's why it ended up kind of almost as far west as possible there.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to re-emphasize just that those are the 2 goals we're going for. I think everyone on the street, I think those are our shared goals, and we just want to meet them the best way we can.
And people also requested the handicap accessible spaces be as close to the businesses as possible.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So that was kind of the rationale behind that thinking.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else with something new?
Something new, huh?
No comment, Scott.
As long as you don't say dumpster, okay?
No, we don't want to hear that.
You just violated the rule, just so you know.
Scott McWilliams, 107 South Main Street. I don't know, Dan. You didn't talk to me. I don't even remember where that was. But I think that my comment on this is that this is a challenging site. And my comment originally was with one entry in and one entry out, you got a bottleneck beyond all bottlenecks. And this is probably as good as you can get with what you got. But I think you got to look at this from the long-term perspective and not have to try to fix this again in another couple of years. And I cannot figure out how a truck's going to get into and out with this configuration and not jam up this whole lot and be going through a number of unsafe traffic movements. I am not a truck driver, but I do a lot of eminent domain work, and I just got through with a truck distribution facility, and I found out that a semi-truck needs 130 feet unobstructed to do a 180-degree turn. 130 feet. You're going to have some semis and some 30-foot vehicles trying to get in and out of here. And you're going to have a bunch of people in the morning when they're trying to deliver, they're going to want to get out to go to work. And I don't know how that's going to happen here. And I think that this idea of an extra outlet is what you need. I just don't know if this particular configuration is really a long-term fix. So if there's a means by which we can do a better design that's going to work for all the properties that are serviced by this parking lot, and put a safe traffic movement in that's going to be realistic to be for the uses for all the properties of which they're put, I think that's the way it's got to be looked at. And I just don't see how a truck's going to be in here, getting in to deliver and not blocking this entire parking lot. Maybe somebody can show me how. An engineer type or something.
Yeah.
But what's the movement where they're going to pull in and they're going to be able to get somewhat close to the building so that they're not parking, so that they can get in and get out?
Yeah, they would pull in, obviously where you see the in arrow there, they would continue along in a counterclockwise all the way around and then come along the building front there.
They're not, yeah, they're doing that.
Okay.
And then to leave, they would have to, you know, they'd probably have to back up a little bit and then come just to the left or to the right of that one island, and then either turn right or turn left. It's a double turn movement there, and so you know you can turn one way or another.
So they're going to have to actually, I mean, with this design, they got to back up.
I'm just guessing, but I don't know. I mean, it depends on who they're delivering to. If it's to Ace's main tap, they're not going to have to back up because they'll already be way down at that end. But if they're delivering, say, to Smokies, is that what it's called? Shorties? Sonny's, the new restaurant by advertisement there. No plug, or not being reimbursed for this endorsement. But you know, then they may actually have to pull in, take a left, and then so that the rear end of that trailer is towards that end of the building. But you know, it's seemingly how long have we had the loading zone there now? 2 years? I think about 2 years. And besides the first couple weeks, it's been smooth. I want to knock on wood or something here, but it seemingly has worked. And honestly, I would gather to say that existing parking lot is probably more crowded than what we have laid out, or what the engineers have laid out here. That's my view on it. But I know it's tight. I mean, everything in downtown areas are tight, and they've tried to squeeze as many parking spaces out of this area as humanly possible, and you know, that's
So just so I understand, I just want to make sure this is a one-way movement through here is what you're proposing,
I see
correct?
an orange blob.
Right through here and then out? Is
No.
this a one-way or is this the opposite way?
I'm saying that road would not exist at this point.
Okay.
So you would come in off of Jefferson there,
Okay.
and do a clockwise movement around the parking lot, and then you'd end up at the back of your building there.
They negotiate this turn right here?
Yes.
No.
Bring it over to Jeff and show you.
Yeah. If you
Sorry.
just show me the movement
So they would come in here
around there.
and
Oh,
And then I was saying if they have to back up, they come in, you know, because they're going to have to get over.
But they're going to have to come out this way.
Yes. Yeah.
And does anybody know the distance between here and here?
Yes.
What is that?
I don't know, but somebody does. You asked me.
Okay.
That was a great comeback.
You answered the question. That's correct. Okay. I think just long term and
Well,
making sure we take into account the type of vehicles they're going to be accessing, and I think Cisco's going to be coming back in, and Cisco delivers with 70-foot summers. All right.
And then there's the two truck area too.
There's two trucks in there. Okay.
Yeah.
I also have talked with.
Just a minute. We need to be at the microphone, please. Thanks, Scott.
You bet.
Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you. Jerry Theo. In regards to trucks, I have talked with quite a few of the truck drivers, and they all say that it's a nightmare now, and their turnover is pretty great as well. And you get new truck drivers in, and they park double up along the parking ramp there, or the loading zone, and they seem to think that this scenario here, I showed it to a few of the regular truck drivers, and they said, you know, the best scenario would be to go through a straight shot. If we could move the entrance to the east a little bit where the current apron is, so they can just come in, have a one-way, and then out the back of Ziggy's. That would be the best. And the number of islands in here, they said they're going to be running over islands, and if there's light posts in there, they're going to be hit also. We're back there all the time. We see the movements, and I think with the potential of another 60 to 90 cars a day with the Spannery development, I think it's just going to be more chaotic. I think that whole parking lot needs to be a one-way from Jefferson Street through the back, and Dietz is willing to, partner with the village, as am I and Bonnie, to make this more sense in our eyes. So the trucks go through the back of Ziggy's and then through the drive aisle of UW and Ziggy's. So the other hurdle that would have to be is we get, passive approval with the UW to also do that. The other issue is, from what I understand from Jeff, is that the parking lot is going to be raised to the height of the current entrances of the buildings, with a driving rain from the west. We're going to all end up with more water in our basements. We already have water in some of the basements in the back, and I think we need to get the water coming off the roofs away from the buildings, and also to help beautify that area. I talked with a few of you in regards to a green space between the back entrances and the loading zones, so we can have some green area, plant some plantings and so forth, and then have the drain downspouts the parking lot a few feet away from, so we don't have the water issues like we had in the front of the Main Street properties. So there's a lot of issues that are involved. We're trying to, help be a part of the solution, and I think this is, UW, who knows when it's going to happen, if it happens at all. And I think now is the right time to do it. So.
Okay, thank you.
Just two points on that. We were only raising the parking lot at the request of the building owners that wanted us to match the elevation of the sidewalk back there to allow handicap access back there. So I mean, the design actually has it down to match the elevation it is right now. And then when we requested, can we raise that up? And I believe that was, I thought it was you guys, but it's obviously not.
No.
But and you know, that was just, honestly, it gives us more fall to the you know, to the storm system in the parking lot. The other thing that I think our engineers, or the engineers for this, have asked, and I think it's a good idea, is to possibly provide at the downspout locations direct connections into the storm sewer system. And I think that would be a great asset to have back there, so that you're not dumping it out on the parking lot, letting it flow across the parking lot and into the catch basin.
Yeah,
so
that's a
we
great
figured
idea.
lot owners wouldn't have any problem with that.
No.
I'm getting the affirmative on that and everything. So, but I mean, we can. We're talking a difference of really a curb height is really, you know, or 4 to 6 inches, you know, maximum height difference there. And so that's the only reason we were doing that.
Well, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
However, you know, still to help beautify the back of those buildings.
I would
think
love a
some
green space back there, but I just don't know if the space is. You take that out and then you lose the loading zone, or you lose it. I mean, in other days, this probably would have been an alley, and you know, I think of all the alleys I've been down, and it's some of them are what 12 feet wide, and you know, you can't imagine how little space there is back there, but people still manage to make it work. I don't know how, but they do.
All right, that's all I.
Thanks, Jerry. Kevin, did you want to say anything? Okay, so you're kind of the same channel. You'd like that drive through there. Okay. So discussion. How do we proceed?
Well, I think we should ask the engineer to create a proposal that would take the drive straight through along the back of the buildings. And I understand what Jeff's saying about the impact of traffic backed up from the stop sign and trying to get traffic as far back as possible. And I know that we've already had this conversation, and I don't know how locked in that is, but you're talking about, from what I can see here, maybe 1 or 2 car lengths. And if it was a straight turn in, I don't know that a truck would have to wait, that they would just go in. And I would be interested to see what an engineer had to say about that. You know, and I know also parking lot space was an issue, but if primarily the issue from my perspective is it was being brought forward by the business owners. Well, now if the business owners are saying that they're willing to sacrifice parking spaces to create a straight easeway through, I'd like to see if we can make that happen.
Other thoughts, anyone? What do you think of that, Jeff?
Well, Quam actually did provide us, if you go to kind of the page, probably 4 or 5 in the packet there of this section, they provided kind of more of a additional engineering services to design a shared drive aisle, and that totaled, I believe, about $12,000 for that. Am I correct here? Yeah, it was pretty close to about $12,000. So, and that, you know, kind of took this to the next step. If that's, you know, if that's what you would like to do, that's something that we could amend borrowing for Jefferson Crossing to do that. Correct?
We'd have to find the money.
I know.
Off the top of my head, I can't think where to do that, but.
It's not going to get cheaper, though, if we find out that this isn't going to work and we have to come back and re-engineer it later.
No, but I mean, I think you know, the only change that would be is if it would, well,
John's got to see if John.
Yeah.
You're volunteering to have the business owners pay for it? Thought I'd check. It's always worth a try.
But it might be worth Jeff and maybe one of the board members meeting with some of the business owners, at least us and the Thiels, and maybe like Main Tap, you know, some of us, and just talking about it before we spend money on an engineer and then come back and say, well, this isn't going to work anyway. It doesn't, you know what I mean? I don't want to take a lot of time. sat down and spitballed, okay, something to give them to look at.
I thought too, that some of us meet back there, the business people and Jeff, and start to eyeball that and see what we think and go from there. It seems like a good place to start.
Yeah, we can have a meeting. I wouldn't mind that at all.
Okay. That sound all right?
Yeah. My assumption was that's what the business owners did before they came here today. But if that's not what happened, then yeah, that would be the right place to start.
Yeah. Well, I think that gets some of us out there too, and Jeff all at the same time, and different perspectives, different set of eyes, and see, you know, then we know firsthand what that's like.
Well, and it'd probably be beneficial to have the engineer from Quam present.
Yeah.
To be able to answer kind of next steps for that they would need moving forward if that's indeed the case. And knowing John and Doris's kind of flexibility on it, I think does help in some ways. I still, UW, if you're out there listening right now, it'd be great to have some, it'd be nice to know if that was going to be an option in the future, because that would surely open things wide open for.
Okay. So Jeff, how about you send out 2 or 3 times to people that are here and see who can and wants to make it.
Okay.
Does that sound all right to folks?
Does it sound all right to the business owners?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So now you know if 3 of you meet, we're going to have to notice it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see who all can make it and go from there.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'll try to get that set up in the next 2 weeks here.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, what was the cost of the study that you brought to us today?
Oh, going off of memory here, it was 4,000, something like that, if I remember right. It was in that neighborhood, 3,000 to 4,000.
So how do we do the groundwork that costs nothing before we spend $4,000 on an engineering firm to give us a plan that we're not going to use in the future?
So what? I don't understand.
Well, we're now going to go and walk over there, which is free, and we're going to meet with the business owners, which costs nothing, to eyeball the problem and see if we can come up with a resolution. But it's only after we spend $4,000 on a plan that isn't going to work.
Well, we commissioned, with approval from the board, we commissioned Quam to be able to do that. Yeah. And
so if we go back to Quam, it's gonna cost money again, and I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah.
But I'm just throwing up a yellow flag to say we spent $4,000 on something we're not going to use now.
No, we're using it.
Yeah.
You know, it's being used. It was being used to get to where we are today. And the thing is you know, the auto turn analysis is just not something. I mean, if you go out there, it's very easy to look and say, okay, a truck can turn this, but what we forget is that the rear wheels track a completely different path than the front wheels, and that's what the auto turn analysis does, and give you that path. And that's just not something you see if you walk out there and you know, see what's going on. It does, you know, walking out on site obviously gives you an idea of elevation differences and that type of thing, but for more of a detailed, truly on the site plan with what we have, because what we have in the parking lot back there looks nothing like what the design is right now.
Yeah. So I just want to just go on record, respectfully disagree with you.
Sure.
I believe we spent $4,000 on a plan that probably should have waited until we had a meeting with the business owners and we walked the lot and we talked about what our options were and brought all of those options forward. And my opinion's not going to change.
Sure.
And I'm going to be watching this as we go forward to make sure that when we spend money, we've already had the conversation, the free conversation on the front end, and that we don't spend $4,000 to start a conversation.
Did you say, Jeff, we approved having Quam come and do this,
you did.
right? Yeah. So that's where the process started, was it came to us as a motion and we approved it.
Yeah, so that's on me.
Yeah.
My bad.
That's
I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. I understand your concern, Jeff. I mean, we all feel that way, but it is a starting point. It gets us to this point. The other thing I would say is, I mean, this seldom happens. You know, typically when a report comes back to us, it's exactly what we need and we go ahead. So it's not going to happen all the time. That's exactly what we want, and it did this time. So, yeah, but like I said, we'll look at things differently going forward. Okay?
Fair enough.
Thanks. Anything else from business owners? Okay, thank you. We appreciate it. Jeff will get some times out, and we'll go from there. Thanks for your input. We appreciate that. Okay, so we're going to bounce down to item 7, community input. And there's at least one person would like to address the board tonight. So this allows members of the public to provide information to the village board, including items not listed on the board's agenda. We are not allowed to ask questions or discuss this, and each speaker will have 3 minutes. So anyone who'd like to address the board tonight? Tom, you wanted to, right? Yeah. Come on forward, please. And again, we do 3 minutes. Welcome. Want to state your name and address, please, so we have it in our record and we're all set.
My name is Tom Bjornson. I live at 153 Johnson Street, and I've been having a long-time grievance with my neighbor, Mike Braun, who lives at 326 Market Street. His property borders mine about 16 feet. And what's needed, for one thing, is to have somebody to defuse problem with us. He's been rubbing me the wrong way, pushing me around, and I just like it. He used to have a mannequin of a woman looking out the back of his machine shed, making me feel awkward. He was one time going to kill our family cat execution style after the cat got out in a garbage can with another can over it and a concrete block over it. And I also had another neighbor, Jeff Armstrong, who used to let his cat out. He had a really nice cat named Lola that anybody could pet. And as I was taking stuff out to the garbage can one night late in the fall, I wasn't properly dressed. I heard the worst meow. I couldn't tell, but I suspected Mike Braun. I walked back there and I listened. Mike's not the quietest person, and I didn't hear anything. But I asked Jeff Armstrong's wife a few days later if they still had the cat. No, the cat never came back. He's been in there. I suspected him of pulling out my sunflowers and my squash. He was poisoning.
I would just caution you, don't make too many accusations, okay? We're on record here on TV, so
I have my suspicions, and I did. You've been here to my garden before, you know, and so was Jeff. And Jeff is not a gardener. I hear that on the Saturday the 21st that some church group is going to raid my place. And it really makes me very sad and upset. I'd like people to take a look and see what I've done. You know, I'm more interested in more practical things like having some upper branches off my neighbor's tree that goes over to our place that are not safe cut instead of vandalizing my cedar trees. I want to keep lights out. We live in the front of my house, my mother and I, because she's in a hospital bed. And just to get around the house, we don't have quite the run of the house. I would also like it if the street light was dimmer.
You have 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want the situation defused, and feel free to take a look, and Jeff can take a look. I'll be civilized. You can bring a cop with. I just want my neighbor Mike Braun to take the signs down that are threatening in nature, showing pictures of guns, implying he's going to shoot me if I go past there. I haven't trespassed in his back for over 7 years when I was taking after a dog that slipped the collar.
Okay. Those signs will be coming down.
I hope so.
Yeah, they will. Just give us a little bit of time.
And I hope that things can be worked out. Oh, I'm going to have more time in the future because some social program was going to be helping my mother starting this month. I thought they were going to come today. And I want to get my grapevines up and Project Homes to come, but I wanted to cover the expense of getting the crepe trellis up rather than the plastic boxes to get things moved to get upstairs so that they can do the installation upstairs.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
Hard problem. We can hopefully work things out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Any questions?
We're not able to discuss these items. They're not on the agenda.
Thanks. Are you here just for me?
Okay, we'll go back to item 4, Village Attorney, Village Administrator Report. First, item A, discussion possible action excuse me, regarding ordinance number 17-13 to amend sections 9.23, 9.27, and 9.28 of the municipal code regarding tobacco use in the village. The recommended motion is to the possible first motion to consider the board by a 2/3 vote of board members may suspend the rules and have the first and second readings at tonight's meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Are e-cigarettes included under nicotine products? Is that part of it?
The purpose of this ordinance was to expand what we, our current ordinance really doesn't reach apparently all the various vaping devices that are out there, e-cigarettes that are out there. So the purpose of this ordinance is to capture, as I understand it, the vaping devices and the e-cigarettes, including when they're not actually using nicotine per se, but potentially other substances.
Thank you.
Good question, Doug. Thanks. Any other questions? So we have the motion and second to vote to suspend the rules and have the first and second readings at tonight's meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Possible second motion. The board chooses to suspend the rules, which you did. We can consider ordinance number 17-13 at the meeting. So we would need that motion for that ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Is the intent of the ordinance to ban nicotine gum as well? You define nicotine products. Well, nicotine products is not defined.
It is by state statute. If you want anything nicotine.
So nicotine gum would be included in nicotine product.
That's how I read the statute.
Well, one of my associates drafted this, so my understanding, it's not intended to ban the lawful sale of, say, nicotine gum to someone who is, lawfully able to purchase it.
Are you talking about the stop smoking nicotine gum products?
Yeah. So what I'm talking about are, I can envision in my mind a cessation, like a nicotine gum that was designed and maybe even prescribed for somebody who's trying to quit, but yet it's a nicotine product, and whether that would be, for example, not to get too deep into the weeds, because I definitely like the way that we're approaching the ordinance, but in this exception, if a student was trying to quit smoking, for example, and was using nicotine gum to do that, and had nicotine gum on school premises, he would be in violation of this ordinance. And all I'm really doing at this point is just asking the question if I'm understanding that correctly.
Technically, I would say yes,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean that's necessarily would be enforced that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a former school administrator, I would not enforce that if they're trying to quit smoking. I think that'd be the case with our school administrators.
Quite honestly, that never crossed our minds when we were drafting the ordinance about nicotine gum.
I could see by the look on your face.
Yeah, I wasn't looking to pick it apart. That was just the first thing that came to my mind.
We were more concerned about the vaping devices and the e-cigarettes.
Yeah.
And that completely makes sense to me that, somebody would vape and say there's nothing you can do about it because there's no ordinance against it.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
Hence why we're here.
Yeah.
Further discussion or questions?
And it's illegal to purchase a vape device and vape oils, isn't it, if you're under the age of 18?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Really?
Only the oils have nicotine in them. Then you can't. But the device, I think, is.
And my knowledge level of this area is fairly small because, again, I didn't draft this ordinance, so if there are a lot of questions, I'll bring Holly in and she can answer.
Yeah, I appreciate what the chief. You've satisfied me. I appreciate the fact that ultimately it's down to enforcement, and that common sense would dictate if it's a legitimate use that you would not enforce the ordinance. So I'm fine with that. I don't need any amendments for myself.
Okay. Further questions, comments? Okay, so we have the motion and second for approval of ordinance number 17-13. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Item B, status of village possibly acquiring properties in TIF 4 and possible board action. The motel at 1053 Park Street and former restaurant at 1075 Park Street. Note, the village administrator signed a conflict waiver to allow Von Briesen Law Firm to represent Jelland in sale of property. The Von Briesen firm typically represents the village in personnel matters and labor negotiations.
So the first thing is the the motel owner accepted our offer and signed it and returned it to us. So we are buying the motel for $550,000.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. To the board
What's it
too.
assessed at, Mike?
750, wasn't it?
I think so. And we'll be closing on it. We won't be closing until December 22nd. It looks like so. Let's see here. I got that somewhere in here.
775, our finance director recalls.
Okay, that's fine.
Something close to that. You
Yeah.
got it.
755.
Well, the most important thing is that it appraises at the purchase price, right?
It's assessed higher than the purchase price by about $200,000.
Yeah, so it should.
The land value is at $457,400, and the improved value, which is the building, about a little less than $300,000.
Okay. When do the tenants have to be out then?
So we are structuring this in a way that we're trying to avoid putting these tenants into a category of being displaced persons under
Correct.
the law. So they would be allowed to continue residing on the property for up to 180 days or 6 months after the village closes. So we anticipate about a 6-month occupancy period post-closing.
Okay, and right now the closing date is tentatively...
December 22nd.
Okay, so in the event, and this is the question I'm leading to, in the event that they aren't out, are we going to close?
We will be acquiring the property while they continue to occupy the property, and they will continue to occupy the property after the village closes. So we will essentially be a landlord for about 6 months.
We'll be coming back to the board, probably hiring a management company.
Okay, so...
We may actually hire the same company that's doing it now.
Okay, so we would hire a professional company then. Okay. All right.
This is going to be complicated. This is not
Sure.
gonna-
All right.
Yeah,
No,
I'll just say that up front.
Okay, I'm just
It
curious.
is. It's going to be. We got all different tenants. We
Yeah.
got different security deposits. We're going to be a
I know.
landlord for a half a
I
year.
know, and I just,
Yep.
I'm comfortable that you've thought of all the options.
Mhm.
So.
Matt did.
All the options.
All the options.
This is the best
Yeah,
one.
we'll see.
It's a lock.
This is the best option.
And then we did get a counter on the recreational concept property, and so we're going to be going to closed session at the end of the meeting with Matt to talk about
Okay.
it. Yep.
Great, thank
Okay.
you. So item C, status of a lawsuit filed by Monumental Enterprises Incorporated, Patrick Makovec. There's a note here, the village's insurance company attorney answered the complaint on the village's behalf.
So
More on that.
The only thing I would say is it's the village's attorney being paid by the insurance company. So the attorney actually represents Chief Ewell and the village, just being funded by the
Yeah.
insurance company.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
that's right.
Okay, then that takes us down to 5, approval of minutes. We have minutes from the special board meeting on September 26, 2016, and August 7, 2017 joint village board and planning commission meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, and that includes both of those. Any additions or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 6 is approval of vouchers. We have vouchers tonight in the general operating fund in the amount of $199,436.42.
I'll move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Questions?
And this is a question for Jeff, I got a feeling. What is for county safety projects, what is a sewer manhole safety cover?
It's
Is that
a-
something that you put around it when you're working in it?
Right. It's
Okay.
a temporary cover. It's not the real thick cover. So if you pull the lid off, you have an open hole. It's technically that's a confined space.
Right.
And so you have a temporary cover that would hopefully, if your foot slipped, would keep you from going down the manhole.
Okay, thanks. I
Yep.
saw that and
Yeah, it's part of our. You'll see more safety stuff coming across just with part of our new safety initiative and program that we have with the village. We've had to kind of upgrade some things.
very good. Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, so we have motion second to approve vouchers in the amount of $199,436.42. Roll call, please.
Staton,
Yes.
Pollock,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Carpenter,
Yes.
Boudreaux,
Yes.
Brett Howard,
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We have done item 7. Item 8, proclamations and announcements. A, board comments. Okay, looks quiet over here. And staff comments. Item 1, Mike?
My main comment is that we are not on vacation on Friday afternoon. Somehow the rumor's gotten out that when we close the village hall at noon, we're not here. We actually are here working, doing the packets and things like that. So I just want to make sure people know that. We're not taking off on Friday afternoons.
Yeah. That's what Jerry's been telling people.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you. I mean, I'm not saying some people are not doing that. I'm just saying we're here.
I even
I
checked.
know Jerry knows I'm here because he came and visited me last Friday.
I even checked the bars. I know you're not over there either.
I'll be back this next Friday, by the way.
In the morning at least, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying that people don't take off on Fridays, but we're open.
Yeah.
We're not open. We're working upstairs doing the packets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so for the public, we're short on staff.
That's what. So.
Fridays are big days to put packets together, and it has to be done. So that's what staff is doing.
And I will tell you, I appreciate the board working with us on this. Because like this past Friday, it helped get this packet out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been tough. So I appreciate it.
And no, I did not start that.
I
rumor.
Sure.
Item 2, Jeff?
Yeah, just we still have work going on North Alpine Parkway. Some people might have noticed it's now scheduled for closure today and tomorrow, as they now have to make the water utility connection across Alpine Parkway. So it's closed for approximately 2 days. There will be further closures when they have to construct the median cut at Cassandra Way, the northern part there. We'll try to get information out as soon as possible. This one kind of snuck up on us from the contractor, said, I want to close it down Thursday. And I said, nope, got to give a few days to at least let people know. So we had them close it down Monday, Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Item 3, schedule of upcoming meetings. Those have been before us for several weeks, so I think we're all set on those as far as budget meetings.
And the only thing is that we'll be having a light dinner like we've done in the past from 5 to 5:30, and the meetings will actually start at 5:30.
Okay, very good. Item 9, communication, miscellaneous business. Item A, discussion possible action. Wastewater treatment plant HVAC repairs, building 60 and 55. First motion is recommended. Award the contract to Staley Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $31,502 for a new makeup air unit, controls, blowers, and appurtenances for installation in building 60 at the wastewater treatment plant. This includes all labor for removing the existing unit, disposal, and complete installation, startup, and testing of a new makeup air unit.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you.
And I have a question.
Fire away.
Is this bid out?
This is not. We're going with this service. This is Staley Heating and Plumbing does all of our maintenance.
Right.
They do our annual maintenance, and we've had them for the last several years. So this is very similar to what we did with police department. And
Right. But are you confident this is?
I am confident. Yeah. If
It's a low price.
If I were getting, if I felt we were getting taken advantage of, I would not even propose this.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yep.
And where in the budget are you going to find money for this then?
No, actually, this comes out of something, and this is the wastewater treatment plant. DNR requires that we carry what we call a equipment replacement fund, and that's a certain amount of money that we have to put in every single year into this fund, and it's in the neighborhood of what, 1.1 million, $1.2 million that we have in equipment replacement, and it's specifically there for this type of reasons. So when pumps fail, so this is a capital project that doesn't really affect our budget.
So all you have to do now is stay on Lisa's good side, and you can get that bill paid.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and this is one of those ones that, unfortunately, it's taken a long time to kind of root this one out. But the system, it either runs full on all the time or off. Okay. And in the winter, it has to run full on all the time. And we haven't even thought of the cost, the gas cost associated with running a furnace of that size constantly.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yep, you're welcome.
Other questions? So we have the motion and second to approve the contract for Staley Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $31,502 for a new makeup air unit in building number 60. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second motion, award contract to Staley Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $135 for a new electric baseboard heater and wall thermostat to be installed in the former laboratory, Building 55 at the wastewater treatment plant. This includes all labor for removing the existing unit, disposal, and complete installation, startup, and testing.
So move.
Second.
Thank you.
And this is just a small kind of repair. It was an old unit. It used to be the laboratory over there at the wastewater treatment plant. Now it is where we actually store all of our, all of the boxes that Mark had and the boxes that I continue to generate of our history and our files. So that's why we're just putting in a baseboard heater in there. There's plumbing in that room, so it just needs to be kept at least 55 degrees in the middle of winter.
Okay. Any questions?
My only question, and I'm sure you've addressed this, is do you have to take any special steps, being that it's a smaller space that wasn't designed for storage, to protect the boxes of paper that are being put in there from an electric baseboard heater?
Actually, the electric baseboard heater is probably one of the more safer units to put in there. I mean, we don't put boxes right up against the heater, obviously, but there's really nothing. I mean, it's not as crammed as you think. It's actually a pretty good size room. And when I came here, I actually made improvement of installing shelves in that room so that would give us good storage space. So it's in this wall where the heater is on a spot where we actually don't have files stored right now.
So no?
Yeah. No.
Thanks.
Okay.
No, yes.
So we have the motion for the contract for Staley Plumbing and Heating, amount of $2,135 for a new electric baseboard heater in Building 55. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9B, discussion and possible action, Youth Center HVAC repair. Recommend a motion to award contract to Staley Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $1,511 for complete removal of all and installation of a new blower motor, blower wheel, and fan assembly in the furnace serving the west room at the Youth Center.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Sounds like that wore out too. Any questions other than that?
Didn't we fund the replacement of the furnace a couple years ago?
Very good memory there.
A lot better than mine.
We repaired. It was about just over a year ago. We repaired the burner unit in this furnace, but it was just the burner unit, not the fan and blower assembly.
That waited to break down till later.
Well, it actually has not even broken down. It's just when Staley was doing their annual maintenance and everything on it, and when he was installing the new burner and everything, he made a note that it was making more noise than it should, and by his experience, he says that will fail, probably sometime soon. Invariably, these fail in the middle of winter. So his recommendation was just to replace it.
Thanks.
Any other questions? So we have motion second for the contract for Staley Plumbing and Heating, the amount of $1,511 for furnace repairs at the Youth Center. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item C, announcing the Justice for a Cure kickoff event this Friday, October 6th, hosted by Oregon Police Department and Village of Oregon. So, Chief, you want to give us the details on that, please?
Yeah, Justice for a Cure was founded by a former Dane County deputy who had breast cancer herself, and she's formed this organization that's several years old now to bring awareness to all types of cancers, but specifically breast cancer. Every year, the first Friday of October, she holds a kickoff event to honor those who are battling and who have lost the battle with cancer. We're going to host it this year. The program starts at 11:30. Joan has always wanted to use the hill by the skate rink and form a human ribbon with everyone in pink. That's been her dream. Every time she drives by, she goes, "Oh, that would look so cool." So we're going to try and do that this year for her. So I would invite all of you and those listening to, if you can, at least come out at 12 o'clock wearing pink so we can form that human ribbon. There's going to be some news media outlets there as well. Scott Lehman, who is a deputy sheriff, has a drone. He's going to take pictures of it as well. So I think it'll be a neat event. We're also going to take part in the homecoming parade. She has a Justice for a Cure SUV that's all decorated out, and she's got a trailer. So the goal of the organization obviously is to bring awareness, but is also to raise funds for various cancer organizations throughout Dane County. So all are welcome.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Item D, discussion of possible action regarding downtown rectangular rapid flashing beacon pedestrian signals adjacent to the hitching park on North Main Street. The recommended motion is to approve spending $5,000 of those signals to replace the current signals adjacent to the hitching park on North Main Street with funding from the 414 Equipment Fund.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. This is something I brought up to Jeff a while back. I didn't know this was coming tonight. I thought it was going to come out of TIF money, but are we okay dollars-wise to do this right now, or?
Ask the finance director, Steve.
I worked hard on that number
She
today.
did.
And I did find $5,000.
Okay. Okay. My experience has been walking a lot down through downtown that the lights we have don't stop people.
Right.
And that's a
No.
main place for people to cross. And you get these rectangular lights, people stop.
Mm-hmm.
So it just seemed like such a key spot that.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
By all means,
I was afraid you might not think it's a bad idea.
no. I mean,
Yeah, every time I cross there, I push the button.
Yeah.
I watch people, and I play
Yeah.
Frogger to get across.
Yeah.
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 I have my dog on a leash, so I send her out first. And then people stop.
Yeah.
People
you
stop for
wouldn't-
No, I'm
dogs,
just
but
kidding.
not. That actually might be more true than you think.
PETA on line one.
That's probably very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to go out there first, that's for sure.
No, that's for sure. Especially when I was working.
Yeah, we were thinking about maybe that the signs would the existing little blinking light signs would work, but that was complicating things with the newer controller that they have, and so we'd probably just go with straight signs and the bar that has the wigwag. They call wigwag the light pattern.
Yeah.
And everything. So.
Okay.
Yep. But the poles are there and power's there.
Yeah, it'll still take some education.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I'm finding more and more people stopping when I
They
hit a
do.
crosswalk
Yep.
without a light.
We've had really good luck with the ones that have
Yeah.
been installed.
Yeah. Okay, so we have the motion for the rectangular flashing pedestrian signals on Main Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Lisa, for working on that. That'll be really nice next couple weeks. Item E, review of Yahara Winds annual report. Jeff?
Yeah, this is an annual report. A lot of people, and hopefully there'll be a video coming out sometime soon. The Yahara Winds, the Yahara River Watershed Improvement Network is part of something that we as a member community have subscribed to. We contribute to this. This next year's contribution is $75,310. We are a major contributor. I'm actually the treasurer on the executive board for Yahara Winds. It's a very important project that is taking, I would say, definitive steps in reducing phosphorus loading into the Yahara River watershed. And anyone who's been around our lakes know that they get the phosphorus contribution into those lakes cause algae blooms and problems with fish kill and everything like that. And this is a concerted effort by, 23 communities and other private partners, such as Clean Lakes Alliance, Yahara River Watershed Alliance, all those entities out there. And so this is the annual report. I think it's good just to kind of go through it to remind us, where that money is going, and to keep in mind that the reason we spend that money is this is allowing us to partner with this versus an extremely costly, possibly $4 to $6 million or more upgrade to our wastewater treatment plant. So we always kind of have to keep that in mind. This is why we're doing this. It does save us money, but quite honestly, from my experience with it, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing to do environmentally. So we got the report, the annual report, and I wanted to pass it on to you just to remind you of that. And then soon, one of the projects Yahara Winds is to do a promotional video. So there will be a week where we'll show the promotional video here at the village board meeting for everybody to see and hopefully put it up on a website.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any questions?
Is this mostly a rural problem with farm and animal waste, or is it a problem with the village too, the phosphorus problem?
It's mostly being attacked. I mean, this is one of those things that phosphorus, the main contribution into the lakes is from agriculture, but the least regulated waste stream is phosphorus in agriculture. So this is a way to kind of attack it at the agricultural end of things. So farming practices such as vegetated buffers strips, you see these all the time, buffer strips along streams, cover crops. They're actually doing aerial seeding now of crops in the cornfields before they harvest the corn, so they can actually start getting something to grow up before they harvest the corn. It's a very unique type of things, but it's very focused on agriculture as well as manure distribution, as far as they call it shallow manure injection. There's some sort of, but they basically, instead of spreading the manure on the surface of the ground, it's actually injected into the ground, fairly shallow, but allows it to, then if some rain or comes along, it doesn't wash it all into the creeks.
Mm-hmm. Is there a benefit to the village as well, a direct benefit to the village?
Of?
Contributing to winds?
Well, we hope improved water quality. You know, and now is it going to direct benefit? Right now, is it directly benefiting the Badfish Creek, Oregon branch of the Badfish Creek? No, there's nothing being done in this program that's helping that. This is being done mostly in the upper reaches of the Yahara River watershed right now, and then trying to think of the farm that is out kind of out of Verona, but there's a farm out there that's a big partner in the Yahara Winds, Yahara Pride Farms.
The other benefit to the village is you're saving about $4 million.
Yeah, I mean,
that's substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
We get, you know how many crossings we can buy for $4.5 million?
Any other questions?
Where are you looking?
Okay. Go to item 10, report of committees. There is none. I have 11 minutes not requiring action. There are none. In unfinished business, 12, there's none. New business, approval of pending new operator licenses approved by the police department. At headquarters, Paul Bradley, Quick Trip 302, Laura Hammond and Barbara Call, and Quick Trip 372, Marcia Jones and Daniel McCauley.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There are no pending renewal operator licenses. Item 14 lists a number of future agenda items. Item 15, the board may meet in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.851E to consider possible acquisition of property in TIF number 4.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Wallach,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Bearhauer,
Yes.
Dayton,
Yes.
Boudreaux,
Yes.
Carpenter.
Yes.
We'll go into closed session and we will adjourn from closed session. So.